if you look at the essence of hip hop and rap, one of my biggest inspirations for rapping was Tupac Shakur. And one of the things that I really respected about Tupac was, yes, he would make those club type bangers, right? Like the How Do You Want It, the California Loves. But then he would also make a lot of socially conscious music, like Brenda's Got a Baby and things like that, right? And he was also a very active political activist, right? And one of the things that I remember him saying in one of his interviews that always stuck with me is that, like, as a rapper, we are essentially reporters of what's happening within our community.
Rob Ruckus, Nick Collins,
Kate Clover,
Keith Semple,
Isaiah Mitchell,
Billy Harvey,
Tim Howard. Check it out, Almost Famous Magazine.
Hey everybody, welcome back to The Hang from Almost Famous Magazine. I'm your host, Scott Saldinger. Thank you for hanging out with us, taking musicians' stories beyond just their music and letting you have an opportunity to get to know them for who they are. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much for joining us. Please, you know what to do. Ring the bell, subscribe, come back and hang out with us again. If you've been here before and you're joining us again, please, what are you waiting for? Tell your friends about us. We are trying to do everything we can to grow the channel. Also, if you prefer to take your podcast on the go, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more. Today on The Hang, we are joined by Khurram. He's a Pakistani American rapper, singer, songwriter, and producer who mixes modern day hip hop sounds with hints of traditional Arabic and Desi influences. His music consists of conscious rap and also newer melodic rap, which continues to change as he progresses along in his journey. I had the chance to recently meet him at the Dallas Entertainment Awards mixer. We got to talking, and I'm like, dude, we got to hang out. So, Khurram, welcome to The Hang.
Scott, thank you so much for having me. I love to talk about the reason why I even approached you in the first place, because it's something that I'm very passionate of. And, for everyone that's on my channel that's going to be tuning in, Scott, your name is Scott Saldinger. He's a middle-aged white guy, and he was rocking a keffiyeh. So, everyone from my platform is going to know what that is and what it stands for. And, one thing that I will say is that anyone that supports what's happening and that wants to bring awareness to what's happening, we consider them our allies. And off bat, it's something that I just know that this person's a good person and he cares for humanity. And I want to get to know him. So that's really what broke the ice right there. So, Scott, I thank you. I applaud you, for being an ally. And yeah, that's kind of what kicked it off. So much love and great energy.
Absolutely. No, thank you for that. We are all at the end of the day made of the same stuff. And I truly believe that no matter where you are on this planet, you wake up in the morning and you want to do the best you can for the day. And when you strip away our skin and you strip away the muscles and all the other stuff, the only difference between us is this thing here. And like any computer, bad stuff in, bad stuff out. So do the best you can to be good, and you never know what can happen. So I appreciate you recognizing that. And absolutely, we are all better together than we are pitted against one another. And just because where we're from or what our skin looks like, none of it really matters. It's how we find a way to come together, not be divided. So I appreciate you recognizing that.
Absolutely.
For sure. We start these conversations out going all the way back to the beginning of where your relationship with music began. So tell me the story. Did you find music or did music find you? And what's that been like getting you to where you are today?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So with me, so I'm a Pakistani American, and music has been, a big part of my family growing up. My mother's brother was a pretty famous singer in Pakistan growing up, and he ended up marrying one of Noor Jahan's daughters. And anyone that is from Pakistan and knows people from Pakistan, they will know who Noor Jahan is. She's basically like I don't know who I think, maybe like she's like the Whitney Houston, I guess, of Pakistan, if you will, right? Like, and much from a much older generation. So music has always been kind of embedded within my family, and with myself growing up in the United States, I grew up, in a predominantly Black and Hispanic neighborhood, and I'm essentially a product of my environment. And so, I was really immersed in the hip hop culture. I think my first love was basketball. I grew up playing basketball. I played basketball up through college, and then within the hip hop culture and basketball, it kind of like bounces right off of each other. And so with as far as like even the first hints of me actually doing music myself, outside of it being a big part of my family, was that, we would, when I was in college and when we would, go on long trips with the basketball team, like everyone would be freestyling on the bus. And, I was probably like one of like, I don't know, maybe like one of the only people on the team that wasn't Black. And so we would be freestyling and we would be battle rapping each other. And so I just got sick and tired of people coming at me. So I started rapping too, and started, that's kind of how it started for me.
Yeah. Now, what's the journey been like? I mean, you've been at it a little bit. What have been some milestones for you?
Yeah. So, essentially like how it came about was, I had moved to Los Angeles, and I was dealing with a lot of stuff within my personal life. And before I actually started doing music, I actually tapped into the dance community in Los Angeles, because I enjoy dancing, and it's something that I grew up doing culturally, and then through a lot of my family members and even friends, like within hip hop and cultural dance, it's something that I always did. And so when I moved to Los Angeles, I worked a corporate job, and I began to dance with a group that, I didn't really know it at the time, but they were really big YouTubers, and they kind of infuse traditional South Asian dance with modern day hip hop, and it's kind of like a cultural fusion, which I found to be really cool. And based off of what I was going through in my personal life, it was like a nice creative outlet where instead of going out and partying and dealing with it that way, I was able to find a kind of a community of people that were very supportive, and there was a lot of love, and it was a lot of support. So, and it was a way for me to kind of get out and have this like creative expression that had building up inside of me, a way for me to get that out. And it was through, and by the time when I started it, this was like roughly like 2016, 2017. I had never been on Instagram. I had never been on Facebook, no social media presence. And so, these girls who were the choreographers, they were kind of like, Khurram, like, what's up? Like, where's your Instagram? We're putting you in our videos. Like, we need to tag you, this and that. And I was like, yeah, I don't really do that social media thing. They're like, Khurram, you live in LA now. Like, you got to have an Instagram, whatever. So that's kind of what sprung it out. And then once I learned about like this kind of South Asian, American kind of like a fusion market that was developing, the way I equate it to kind of like reggaeton, how reggaeton is kind of a blend of like traditional Latin music with modern day hip hop. That's kind of what has been happening within the South Asian space, with like a lot of the Bhangra and like Punjabi kind of fusion with hip hop that was happening. And, this is big market that I never knew of. And I thought to myself, like, well, I used to rap when I was in college, and, maybe this is something that I can actually pursue, given the fact that there's like a big market for this that's starting to develop. And so I started to then transition from dancing to then music from that. So that's kind of what sprung it about.
Well, let's talk about your catalog. And what I like to ask people, and I'm going to switch it up a little bit how I do this today, because there's one song that you had told me about that I want to get into.
Sure.
But a catalog from an artist is an entire meal.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
What I look at is, regardless of what was a single or had a specific reasoning behind the creation, what I say to people are, give me 2 or 3 songs that if it was a meal, the appetizer that gets you in to go down and eat the rest of the meal, what are those 2 or 3 songs? I want to get those from you.
Sure.
But first, when you approached me, you told me about a song that you'd written that got viral through a reporter. Tell me the whole story of about the song and what happened, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, well, first, let me start off by saying this. If you look at the essence of hip hop and rap, one of my biggest inspirations for rapping was Tupac Shakur. And one of the things that I really respected about Tupac was, yes, he would make those club type bangers, right? Like the How Do You Want It, the California Loves. But then he would also make a lot of socially conscious music, like Brenda's Got a Baby and things like that, right? And he was also a very active political activist, right? And one of the things that I remember him saying in one of his interviews that always stuck with me is that, like, as a rapper, we are essentially reporters of what's happening within our community. So if I sit here and I tell you about how bad it's been for my people, right, and I'm spreading that message to the world, then eventually, hopefully, someone's going to do something about it. And so, with that said, I've always actively spoken about the genocide and what's happening in Palestine. I actually would speak about it long before October 7th, 2023. Like, if you go on my Instagram, I have songs that I made at Palestine protests back in like 2020, 2021, before October 7th happened. So this is something that I've always felt like, and mind you, this is something that I felt like may have hindered my growth in many ways, just because, if you look at the music landscape, it's not necessarily the space to talk about political things, right? Like, it's something that can get you shunned or blacklisted, especially when you look at the music industry and who it's run by, right? Without saying too much, but I think everyone knows who I'm talking about. So this is something that I felt like, well, if you look at the essence of hip hop, then, I should be a voice that speaks up for the injustices of what's been happening to my people. And if I look at, like, being a Muslim American, living in this country post 9/11, and the racism and everything that I've experienced, and I look at, like, who's really getting it the worst across the world, right? I look at my brothers in Palestine, in Gaza, and in the West Bank, and what's been happening over the last 70 years. And, I always wanted to spread awareness about this. And so I do use my platform, and I do make songs about it, because instead of just me posting about what's happening in Palestine, if I make a song about it, then that's going to reach a lot more people. And so when October 7th happened, one of my friends, he's a very talented producer. His name is Azim Huck. He lives in Toronto. And he's done work with some major mainstream hip hop artists like The Game and a couple other guys. But he had reached out to me. He wanted to make a song about Palestine. So we made like a song about Palestine. It's very soft. It's called The River to the Sea. It actually doesn't even have any percussions in it. It just has string instruments. Because at the time when it first happened, we were seeing children dying every day and everyone was really sad. It just didn't feel right to necessarily like make some kind of like a really like a song about this. So we wanted to make it really, we wanted to be very cautious in terms of, how we're going to present this. And then when I dropped it, and, amongst my community and amongst my friends, everything that I heard was just like, man, it's cool, but like, you got to have like some kind of Arab, beats or something. You got to have some Arab references to this. And then like, it's a little soft, like, whatever, this and that. So I kind of took that in, And then I also looked, there is a lot of Arab rappers that do rap about this and they do talk about this. And one of the commonalities that I was seeing was that everyone was really attacking DJ Khaled because he is Palestinian and he's never spoken up for Palestine, right? So there's rappers, making songs like F DJ Khaled, this, that DJ Khaled. And my thinking and what confused me, and I was like, if this guy doesn't want to talk about Palestine, why do we keep talking about him, right? And it's kind of overtly negative. So I wanted to make a story about, amongst this kind of like turmoil that's happening, where can I find something that's positive and uplifting? Because really that's what music is intended to do, right? It's supposed to be uplifting and it's supposed to inspire people. So, I thought to myself, like, if we're going to make a song about something uplifting, then we should make a song and we should talk about somebody who are like the real heroes in this situation. Well, the real heroes, in my opinion, were the journalists that were in Gaza. And they are the people that, because obviously this is not the first time. October 7th is not the first time that this has happened. It might be the most severe, but it's been happening for 70 years. But the reason why the world is learning about it now is because of social media, and it's because of those journalists that are on the ground that are posting about it and showing the world in real time what's happening. And so one of the biggest journalists that was doing that, his name is Motaz Azaiza. And literally, when this happened, everybody was on Motaz's page every single day. Like, I trusted Motaz over CNN, definitely over Fox, or any other mainstream media outlet. And like, you were watching his story so much every day that it was almost like you felt like you were a part of his life. So any time that you would wake up and Motaz didn't post anything, like, people would be worried, like, oh man, I hope he didn't get killed or something like that, right? So we would wake up worried and be like, man, he hasn't posted today anything, like, what's going on, this and that, right? Then he would post and everybody would kind of breathe a sigh of relief, like, okay, thank God he's okay, So I decided to make a song about Motaz, and Azim produced the beat, and we posted it on our page, and our intention, based off of what he was posting and everything that he was going through, we wanted to show him that we are all out here, we're fighting this with you. And we see your pain, we see your struggle. We just wanted to let him know, like, hey man, we love you for doing this. And we wanted to let him know, like, the world loves you and that you're a true hero. And so when we posted it, I had everybody tag him on my page, just like, I'm like, yo, please tag him. We just want him to see this. We want him to know that he's loved. And man, it was just crazy. So, the video that I posted on my Instagram, it doesn't have me in it at all. Or Azim. It's literally just clips that Motaz had posted, from his time and kind of like some of the more memorable kind of videos that he had shared from his experience in Gaza. And man, it was overwhelming how many people shared it on their page and how many people tagged him. And it actually did reach him. And at the time, I remember Joe Biden was the president. And Joe Biden had about 16 million followers on Instagram, and Motaz had 17 million followers on Instagram, right? And Motaz actually reposted our video. Like, Instagram has that repost feature, and he reposted our video on his page. And it's still on his page till this day, So it felt amazing. He had reached out to us in the DMs and, he had expressed his gratitude. And it's just a testament to, what kind of a person he is. Cause like, I've done like TikTok challenges and things like that with artists and, where they haven't acknowledged it and they don't even have like a quarter of his following. Right. So yeah, that's kind of how it came about. That was the reason. And yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
So that's a great song that people who are learning about you right now, watching us today, can start with. Give me a couple others. Give me two more songs that if you listen to those, you're going to want to go out and listen to the rest. They're going to motivate you to find the rest of the catalog.
Sure. Well, I am, like I mentioned, I'm a South Asian artist, and so if I look at my Spotify and I look at my monthly listeners, most of them, not most of them, but like a good portion of them are coming from overseas. And I do make a lot of music that is, catered for that audience, but it's technically cultural fusion, right? So I want to take, similar to reggaeton, I want to take what's big and what's really popping in Pakistan, in India, within the Punjabi kind of music industry. And myself, I am also, Punjabi. And I want to translate that to American culture, right? There were actually a couple of big Punjabi artists that actually played at Coachella this last year for the first time. Diljit Dosanjh is one of them. He had some very big collaborations with major American artists, like Diljit Dosanjh collaborated with Tory Lanez, mainstream, American rapper. And so one of the songs I guess I could say that I did that with is this song called Love Torture, where, what I'll do is I will take very traditional classic Bollywood or Punjabi songs. I'll even take certain lyrics from those songs, but then I'll put it to like a modern day hip hop beat that I'll produce, or one of my producer friends will produce, and then kind of create that fusion. And it will have Punjabi, it'll have Urdu, it'll have English. It's kind of like a fusion of all languages. So with Love Torture, when I made it, that it's actually a Jersey club beat. So for those of you that are not familiar with Jersey club, I don't know if you remember the song, Scott. Lil Uzi Vert made this song. It's called "I Just Want to Rock." It was like a really big song, maybe like a few years ago, and that's a Jersey club beat where the kicks are kind of like do 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 do, and everyone's doing this little dance to it, right? So I made a Jersey club beat, and then I kind of fused some very classic Punjabi lyrics from a couple of different very famous Punjabi songs within that, and then I also threw a little English in there, and then so that's one of the songs where if I ever perform at like a South Asian event, South Asian party, that song always kind of tears the house down. So I would say Love Torture would be one of them. Obviously you mentioned Motaz. And then, I do make a lot of mainstream American music. Even within that space, I would kind of differentiate it between like more modern day, because like, when you're as a rapper, if you go more lyrical, right, and you really want to harp on like your lyricism, like the double entendres and that type of thing, I would not put auto-tune on my vocals. I would just be raw vocals, and I would have people focus on the lyricism. But if I'm doing more of like a modern day sound, then, it's going to have auto-tune. It's going to have several different layers. My delivery is going to be more melodic rap versus just hardcore rapidy rap. So one of the more lyrical conscious songs that I dropped recently is a song called World of Hate, which kind of symbolizes a little bit about subtly about what the world that we're living in right now. I'm going to tell can you hear my son screaming upstairs? I'm going to tell.
No, just barely. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. It's all good.
But then, so World of Hate would be one. And it's kind of like, one of the things that I learned is like, even when you're talking about something politically conscious, instead of overtly putting it right there in the forefront, to be a bit more subtle about it, and then to still kind of make it cool and make it swaggy. So like World of Hate's got a lot of double entendres, and I really like the lyricism that I was able to convey in that song. So that'd be one. And then as far as like one that's like more modern sounding, I would say for everyone to go check out this EP that I produced, that I dropped with my cousin Ovan. in Denver. It's called Elevate, and that song, that whole album is much more melodic rap with auto tune and with layers and kind of something where my cousin Ovan, when I had moved when I moved away from LA during COVID, I moved back to Denver, Colorado. I grew up in Denver, and my cousin kind of developed me as an artist a bit more, where, you know, he was a very talented producer working with like some of the top hip hop artists in Denver. And, you know, he was kind of like, look, man, like, you know, I listen to your music and your lyrics are cool, but your delivery is just off. You're way too aggressive. It's like you're mad at the world. Like, this is hip hop, you know, you're supposed to be smooth. You're supposed to be swag, you know? And so he kind of developed me. He taught me how to record with auto-tune presets and develop my singing voice and to become a bit more melodic. And then Elevate was kind of like the culmination of that progression. So that I would say check out the Elevate album, check out My World of Hate, and definitely check out Motaz. So I kind of like differentiate, you know, my segments by those three. There's more. There's like the Palestine songs that I will drop. There is the South Asian songs that I drop. And then there's more of like the conscious rap songs that I will drop, like more lyrical versus like the more newer age kind of vibier songs.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, now everyone who's watching has a place to start. I think that's awesome that that you kind of cross over stylistically so that you can serve a really an eclectic audience. So I think that's great. We you know, we live a life typically where people come and go through our lives, and some people have greater impact than others on our trajectory. Is there someone that you've come across in your life that deposited something upon you, an idea, a thought, a moment, that it stuck with you and you take it with you and it's become part of your life and journey? Is there an individual who's done anything like that for you? That you will take them all the way through the rest of your life, and you take a little bit of them to give to others?
As far as like music related or just in general?
Yeah.
Music related?
Yeah, music related. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of, you know, I guess like I kind of, yeah, you know, one of the things that I guess, one of the engineers that I had worked with, so, you know, his name is Sahir, and he's also an artist and a producer, a very talented guy. He lives in Los Angeles. When I was starting off, you know, he saw some talent within me. And you know, I didn't have a lot, like barely any music. I think I had like 1 or 2 songs out at the time, right? And he, you know, reached out to me, and he was just kind of like, listen, he was trying to get his name out as an engineer, and so he had offered to kind of work with me and mix and master an entire album of mine and help push it. And so through that, you know, one of the things that he stuck with me, because it's like in the music industry, it's really easy to chase trends, right? And I think that when I first started, I was really like, man, what can I do to blow up? Like, I want to be selling out arenas, and I want to, you know, this, that thing. So like, what's hot right now? Let me see if I can mimic that and create something hot, right? And one of the things that he has said to me, you know, and he would always have an issue with these conversations that I would have with him. And one of the things that he said that stuck with me is like, listen, man, like when you're making music and you think about these songs that are hot right now, are they going to be hot 2 or 3 years down the line? He's like, you know, he told me, like, you know, you're a big Tupac fan. Like, Tupac makes timeless music. And he's like, that's my goal. I want to make music that's timeless, that withstands the test of time, right? And so that is something that has stuck with me. And I think it's because of that I kind of, you know, I don't just pigeonhole myself into one genre. Now, I've had A&R people. I have been signed to a label as part of a member of a group where I've had a lot of people weighing in on my direction and those types of things. And, you know, I've experienced a lot of that. But I think that, like, you know, the things that he said to me, and I've broken away from all that and I've gone strictly independent because I do want to have all creative control, you know, like I don't want to shoot music videos with like, your typical rapper type music videos where it's like, okay, we've got like a bunch of hot girls, we've got guns, we've got fancy cars. Like, that's not something that I do in my real life. That's not something that's sustainable for me to do every time I drop a song, right? I got to go find all these models. I got to pay them. I got to go rent some car that I'm going to have for a day. I got to go rent a mansion. It's just, I just found that to be not very sustainable. And so when, so I think that there's like two different forms of like how you want to grow and how you want to push yourself as an artist. Like if you want to have that mystique kind of like, the mysterious vibe, right? Then you have to have someone that's pushing a lot of money into you. So otherwise you're not going to be able to create that much music, or you're not going to be able to create that many visuals to market that music, because it just costs way too much to do it every time, right? And then there's more of like a personal, vibe where it's just like, Scott, like I know that there's tons of guys out there that could sing way better than me. I know there's tons of guys out there that could rap way better than me. I think one of the talents that I have, that I've developed over doing music for the last 10 years, is that like if I hear a beat that I like, I could sit down, I could write, and I could record a full song within 20 to 25 minutes. It's like a very natural creative process for me. It's something that I like doing. It's actually therapeutic for me to do that. And so, I've gone, months where I've literally wrote and recorded a song every single day for like 3 or 4 months, just as practice, And so that's like, I feel like a talent that I have. And so if I can create so much music, it's not going to do me any good to just have it sitting there. I know so many talented artists that have so much music that they've made and they never drop anything because they're perfectionists. As artists, we're perfectionists, right? We everything has to be perfect until we drop it. And then if you have that mentality, then you're just going to be sitting on this stuff forever. You never ever end up dropping anything, and the time is really what you're wasting. So that's something that I try to let go of, and I'm just kind of like, look, like, my goal this year, I have over 50, some like definitely over 50 songs, I think, right? I want to get over 100 songs on Spotify from some of the things that I've been reading, like Spotify algorithmic playlist, editorial playlist. Once you get over 100 songs, so all you artists out there that are just sitting on all your music, once you get over 50 songs on Spotify, it puts you into a different bracket. Like Spotify is a separate algorithm from Instagram. Like, yes, your Instagram can help your Spotify, but they don't necessarily cross over that much. So one of the things I've found is, like, even if I keep dropping songs on Spotify and I don't even promote them at all, like, my monthly listeners will go up, as long as you stay consistently dropping music. And then once you drop a song on Spotify, and if you're dropping music all the time, now you can sit there and you can look to see, like, okay, which ones are doing good. And if you have one that's gaining a lot of traction and doing well, maybe that's the one that I should invest my money in and then shoot a visual for that one. So that's kind of the approach that I've been taking. And that's the approach that I will continue to take in 2026. And, I got over like 50, 60 or something like that on Spotify right now. And it's my goal to get over 100 by the end of the year.
I have no doubt that you'll get there. One of the things I really like that you talked about is creating something timeless. I think that when you become so stylized that you can pinpoint the era or the time that it was created in, it kind of gets locked in a place that sometimes it can't escape from. So I think you're definitely on the right track there, looking at things from, a timeless perspective so that they can be enjoyed many, many years to come.
Sure.
I don't know if you're a vision board kind of guy. I don't know if you're a bucket list kind of person, but we all go through life dreaming about things that we want to do. And one of the things that we love doing here is putting things out in the wild. You never know who's watching us right now.
Sure.
And using our community to help us all elevate in life. So is there an artist that if you had a chance to get into a studio with them one day and collaborate, you get one day You can make whatever you want. Who would that artist be and why?
Oh man, that's a tough question. Yeah, like someone that's living, right?
Yeah, someone living, someone that like
Tupac.
someone that if they're watching, if someone's watching, they can call them up because maybe they know them, maybe they're their dog walker. I don't know. Maybe they've sat next to them and they go out to dinner. But if someone's connected to whoever that is, maybe they can make a dream come true. Who would that be for you?
I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't know if you're familiar with Macklemore.
Mm-hmm.
Macklemore. So Macklemore is an artist that, you know, and honestly, like I haven't even heard like all of his music, right? Like I've heard his hit songs. Obviously, I liked like Poppin' Tags when he came out with it, you know, and a couple of the songs that he came out with when he blew up. And then I think that, like, you know, when we talk about timeless music, right? He's an artist that has blown up in the major, like, American mainstream industry. And then, you know, he saw a decline. And then, you know, more recently, he has been one of the few mainstream American artists that has always actively spoken about Palestine. And so, you know, he made a song with a couple of Palestinian artists called Hins Hall, right? And if you guys are familiar with Hind Rajab, I don't know if you are, but she's the girl who one of the children that was killed, and like her father had kind of become, her grandfather had become famous for posting about his granddaughter that passed away or whatnot. So he made a song called Hins Hall, and if you look at Macklemore now, like speaking about Palestine and being an ally has now rejuvenated his career. He now has a brand new audience that's going back and listening to all of his catalog that they weren't listening to it before, you know. And so I just really respect his values. I know it's not easy to go against the grain when you already are a mainstream artist and this is what you rely on for your bread and butter. And for someone to actually go against the norm and have that be the thing that's now rejuvenated their career, right? I just find that to be amazing and really something to aspire to, and something that I look up to. So, you know, would love to meet him someday and would love to get into a studio with him. It would be amazing. Yeah.
Well, look, if anyone's watching us and you know Macklemore, you're connected to Macklemore, you know somebody who's connected, make a dream come true, right? Hit us up in the comments below. We know where to find Khurram, and we can help make things happen. Whenever we can do good for someone else, it makes us a better human being, and that's something to strive for. So, as everyone knows who watches, we are big supporters of supporting your artists. Like, we insist upon it. Art is not free, right? We were talking a little while ago, you know, it can be expensive to make a music video, putting on a performance, going out on the road. All those things take resources. And although there are places that you can listen to artists' music and not pay for it, supporting them is one of the greatest gifts that you can give to them. So down below, you're going to find the links so that you can find Khurram's music, buy it on Apple Music. Okay, connect with him on Instagram, follow him. If you see him performing somewhere that you're near and you want to go see him, go buy yourself a ticket. Show your support. Show the musicians that you understand that making art has a value. So with that said, we kind of like to finish these up with getting inside an artist's head with when you're not making your own music. Who are a couple people? We're sitting here, we're just hanging out, and you're like, Scott, I've been listening to this person and this person. I love them. You gotta freaking check them out. Who would be a couple people that are in your rotation that you really love listening to when you're not making your own music?
Yeah, and you want to go more off of like an upcoming artist, right?
It can be any artist.
Any artist.
Whether you take them to the gym, out on a walk, in the car, Who are you jamming out to these days when you're not making your own music that you're like, I love this stuff and I want to share it with other people?
Sure. This might not be the most popular opinion. So I'm a huge Tory Lanez fan. I think he's in jail right now, pretty sure. But musically, his versatility is something that really inspires me. Like, he's got freestyles, just rap. Like we talk about, just like no auto tune, and just being able to rap and spit bars. He's got like 20-minute freestyles, that you could find on the internet. And just as a rapper and being able to freestyle or battle rap, like he has those skills. I've actually been inside of a studio. So I was lucky enough to know a major producer in LA when I lived out there. And he allowed me to be a fly on the wall when Tory Lanez came in and recorded. And he literally came into the studio and freestyled out 3 different songs to the same beat, one after the other after the other. And then so it's like something where it's like, man, as good as you think you are as an artist, or how far you came along, like this guy just came in, nothing written, nothing pre-planned. He's like, I'm just going to come in here and talk about my day. He came in, he did a couple of things to get his mind right, and he was just, and my friend kind of was playing beats for him and stuff. And he found one that he liked, and he was like, okay, keep playing this one. And he walked into the booth and literally freestyled out an entire song. And then he did the same thing 2 other times. And he told my friend, all right, just pick those apart and take the best parts from everyone and make a song out of it. I'm out. So, that, and then also so outside of just like the rap part of it, he's also made like Afro vibe songs and like Caribbean vibe songs, more R&B songs where he's singing and he's hitting these high chords. And, so just his versatility as an artist is something that I can really appreciate, because, I've done songs where I'm really like rappity rapping, and then I've done like more R&B songs where, like when I first started making music, I wouldn't be able to do those, but now, I've started to develop my singing voice, and I've done singing lessons, and I invested that time, and so now I'm able to make some more of these songs where it's like a little bit more R&B vibe, and showing that versatility as an artist. So yeah.
I think that's great. I'm going to have to check him out, and so should the people watching us today. Khurram, this has been great. You know what? Sliding doors, you get to meet people. You never know the impact they're going to have. And look, here we are now. I wish you all the luck getting those extra 50 songs out this year. Everybody go out, support him, find his music, learn what he's all about, and let's make his career what he wants it to be, for sure. So I appreciate, buddy. I'm glad we met.
Much, man. Appreciate the opportunity. And I love what you're doing out here. We need more people like you who are gonna really champion upcoming artists. I do think that, obviously it's a given fact that, once somebody has already kind of blown up, right, that everyone that knows him or her is going to come around, they're going to support him, like, oh, I know this guy, I went to high school with him, I went to college with him, whatever. But, as we're on our journey as an artist, it is very challenging, sometimes a very lonely journey, right? And so when you do find those people that are willing to cultivate and groom and grow artists that are within their local community, right? Like something I always say, man, there's unity in the community. And if you find people that have the same mindset, I choose to really like to dive into them and develop those relationships more. So thank you for being a great person and supporting, up and coming artists. And I wish you and your podcast the best of luck. I know that you're going to end up, blowing up yourself off of this. So.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. And we are here because of the fact that you have 2 choices. You can either tell your story and own it, or you can allow someone else to tell it and let the chips fall where they may. And we think it's important that artists like yourself get to tell their story and memorialize who they are so that you own it. So thank you for recognizing that. everybody, go out, support Khurram, support everybody, whether you've seen him on a podcast or not. If you love music and you love finding great artists, go out and support them. They need it. It helps them, and it makes you a better consumer, because it's all content now. When you take the time to buy the tickets, buy the merch, buy the music, and show them how much you really love them. So, Khurram, it's been great getting a chance to hang with you. I look forward to seeing you around town sometime. We're going to do that for sure. Maybe we'll break a little bread. And everybody, look, I say this with every episode. Do the best. The greatest thing you can do for yourself is make sure that you love yourself and you give yourself the grace you need to get through every single day, because all it is about is getting to tomorrow. Do that for yourself, and then go out and do that for others, because none of us get where we're going alone. Yeah. We need the support one another. We're all made of the same stuff. So thank you for doing that, Khurram. It's been great to get to know you, and we'll see you on an upcoming episode.
Sounds good.
Bye for now, everyone.
Take care. Bye, everyone.